Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Fabio Maldonado to defeat Glover Teixeira. And I'm here to talk about Steve Erceg versus Matt Schnell. My prediction for this fight, I'm going with Steve Erceg winning by guillotine choke. I don't know if it gets so specific with the actual submission move, but I think a guillotine would be most likely if he was to put Matt Schnell away. Having said that, certainly wouldn't surprise me if he won a decision against Matt Schnell. And even though he's not that big of a knockout artist, Schnell's biggest liability is his chin. So I guess a knockout wouldn't surprise me so much either. But despite having said all of that, just having their money lines and the over under available right now, I don't see any value on Steve Erceg. I'd like to wait for the props, but I think the value, just looking at their money lines, is on Matt Schnell at plus 260. I don't think he will win, but he is fighting what I'm sure some would consider a potentially favorable matchup because Steve Erceg, on paper at least, is not a knockout threat. He does have one knockout in his pro career, and it's a knockout over this guy Paul Loga, who's I think an Australian journeyman brawler. And then against David Dvorak, actually, he knocked him down with a head kick, which turned that fight around for Steve Erceg in his UFC debut. So there's danger there, but he doesn't have the conventional overhand power of Pantoja or someone like that. So I don't, or even a Mateusz Nicolau. I don't think he's going to knock out Matt Schnell. But even if that knockout threat is off the table, I still pick Steve Erceg to win. I think he would out hustle Matt Schnell over the course of 15 minutes, and I think he would do his best work down the stretch. Steve Erceg, he's been to a decision a few times. I should just fucking look this shit up, but I've seen a good amount of his decisions. Of course, he's got two of them in the UFC and a few of them before that, and in every one of them, he's looked good. Even the one fight he lost to this guy, Sean Gauchi, very close fight. He was a step behind for the first two rounds, taken down a few times, slammed even, I believe, and outstruck a bit. But he definitely got the better of Sean Gauchi in that fight, and he did so with his round three effort. Took Gauchi down, mounted him, rear naked choke, ground and pound, halfway to a 10-8, but obviously not quite because he lost a split decision, I think. But that fight and every other fight, the two fights in the UFC, Alessandro Costa and David Dvorak, Steve Erceg, was in competitive fights in both those fights, and I thought he was the stronger man in round three on both occasions, and used a lot of clinch work to suck some of the life out of Costa down the stretch, who was probably the better overall athlete and the quicker fighter between the two. So I've been really impressed with Steve Erceg all around. He's answered every question, and again, even in his loss, there was a nice positive takeaway with his round three effort. I just don't see any reason to pick against him here, and I think the world of Matt Schnell. I think Matt Schnell is an excellent technical striker, and I think he's excellent on the ground as well. His triangle choke, his guard, it's a big threat. It's his biggest asset. He's gotten multiple triangle finishes inside the UFC, and that goes back to the Ultimate Fighter, where he beat Matt Rizzo by triangle choke as well. But at the same time, the vulnerabilities are there. The guillotine choke is there. Matt Schnell, even though he's a good grappler, he's been beaten by the guillotine choke multiple times. He got Brandon Royval got him with a guillotine choke after Schnell knocked him down and almost choked him out. Was really doing great on with Brandon Royval. The fight turned as soon as a guillotine was locked in against on the Ultimate Fighter. Tim Elliott beat him with a guillotine choke. It's an exhibition fight, but Tim still got him out of there with a guillotine choke after they were having a good back and forth fight. Tim bullying him largely, but still. And also against this guy Clayton May, who he avenged the loss, but still the loss is with a guillotine choke. It's his biggest vulnerability, submission grappling wise, and I do think it's Steve Erceg's best weapon. I expect him to get stronger throughout the fight. Steve Erceg's wrestling only gets better throughout the fight. He's been out wrestled early on a few times, and then in the end, he's got the better energy and the better hips. And I think even if Schnell is having success with this tight striking, I don't envision too many big moments for him that are going to take Steve Erceg out of the fight. And in round three, I'm pretty sure Erceg's going to be the fresher man. So Erceg is the pick overall. Erceg by submission is the pick, and I will be looking to bet on that. But as of now, I haven't bet on anything. The over/under is set at 1.5 rounds. Uh, I couldn't tell you which way that's going to go. Wouldn't bet on it either way. And the money line is just way off. If this is the only shit available, my money would be on Matt Schnell. Although probably not. I don't know if I'd bet on Matt Schnell, but certainly it's the only value here. So I'm going to wait for the props. Maybe I'll see if Steve Erceg by submission is juicy. I'll play that because that is my prediction. Steve Erceg by guillotine choke. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.